Good evening and welcome live on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel to the Dr. Allen W. Sugarman Athletic Complex. It's time for Fort Lee Bridgman boys soccer as Fort Lee faces a tremendous Wallington team. The Panthers in at 10-2-2 overall, 8-0-2 over their last 10. Still in the Bergen County tournament as the 6th seed, where they will play a quarterfinal battle on Saturday. The Bridgemen 9-2 overall, 5-1 the Big North American. Major points here at stake for both teams in terms of their respective section brackets to try to climb and have very good seeds at stake. Hi, everybody. Ralph Bednarczyk on hand. So happy to have you with me under the lights. And it is cold, and it certainly feels like a playoff game with the chill in the air. Wallington right now is first in power points in their section of North 2, Group 1, the smallest schools, just ahead of Glen Ridge. So they would be the number 1 seed for the state tournament in North 2 should the season end today. They have a chance to solidify that further with a road win here. Meanwhile, Fort Lee is 6th right now in the power points for North 1 Group 3. So for the Bridgemen, they have an opportunity to really make a couple of moves up towards the top 4 to try to solidify multiple home games for the state tournament should things break their way and they handle business for the rest of the tournament. They have 3 games left after this one. 2 teams are meeting with the officials to go over the coin flip and sportsmanship. We'll go over the starters for 14th year coach Demba Mene. Starting goalie Ilias Alkins joined the team late in the season. First team Big North American Division honors last year. And Fort Lee will play out of a lineup that'll look like this. Out of a 4-5-1 alignment, left back sophomore Noah Diaz, sophomore June Ihara. Those two have not been able to be pushed off by older players. Then a pair of senior center backs in Kenta Watanabe and 3-year starting first team all-division player Michael Conte. The holding mid is Gordon Chang in front of him. Center attacking mid of the 4-4-2 alignment is Grant Kang. Second team all-league last year, a senior and a real leader, 4-year varsity player. Left mid Emmanuel Nitkin. And the right mid is junior Yerrick Blanco. Up top, Lucien Yu, the team's leading scorer, with 12 goals and 4 assists, and Ishan Talapian, senior forward in his 4th year on the varsity. For the Bridgemen, for Wallington, an explosive lineup that scored 48 goals over the course of 14 matches. In goal, Eddie Tanderis, what a story, a first-year starter that was a backup defender the last couple of years. And Wallington out of a 4-5-1. Patrick Pawash will be the left back, the right back Silas Prinefalk. 2 center backs, both juniors, in Damian Christosiak and junior Alex Gibis. The captain is the holding mid in Oliver Rosas, along with Gustav Pawash. The Pawash cousins, he's the other holding mid. Eric Doletsky, 3-year starting center mid, first team all NJIC Meadowlands Division last year. His wingers, the dangerous Oliver Pietruchak, who is the second leading scorer with 12 and 5, and senior Willem Prinefalk, a 3.5-year starter, along with his twin brother, who is the starting right back, Silas. And then up top, one of the explosive players in New Jersey, in Alex Wischarczyk, a junior center forward, a 3-year starter that has 21 goals and 6 assists. Well on his way towards all-state honors. Only question will be, could he be a first-teamer? Perhaps depends on how far the Wallington Panthers will go under first-year head coach Isaac Archbold, who takes over the program. Archbold was a longtime head coach growing up in Ridgefield. He was the head coach at Ridgefield for 8 years through 2023, and last year was the Indian Hills JV boys soccer coach before getting the Wallington position. Fort Lee will be in the pink jerseys tonight, while Wallington will be in the blue, rather white with blue numbers. Frigid conditions, about 54 degrees. We remind you and thank all of our sponsors that help make this broadcast possible. The Fort Lee PBA, Cafaso's Fairway Market, The Finest Construction, Fort Lee Soccer Club, Rosen and Doru Electric, Bridgman Basketball Camp, the Fort Lee VFW, Visions Federal Credit Union, It's Greek to Me Restaurant, Connect One Bank, the Bergen Black Sox Organization, Senator Builders, UCS Strength and Speed, the Collective Salon, and the Fort Lee Education Association. Thank you for helping make this broadcast possible tonight. So one of great significance, and thrilled to be bringing it, and certainly because it has a playoff feel to it. Fort Lee last time out here on Tuesday lost in overtime. They were the 7th seed, losing to 10th seeded Mawa in the Bergen County Tournament second round. And for head coach Demba Mane, it's all about the response tonight. And ironically, they end up taking on a team to the level of Wallington that they would have faced if they won that game Tuesday night on Saturday. They didn't, but they sort of get almost a consolation prize to measure themselves up against a Wallington team that could very well find themselves deep in the Bergen County Tournament. As I said, they play a quarterfinal game coming up on Saturday. Underway tonight in Fort Lee. Azihara begins possession with a high press, and it is a Wallington team under Isaac Archbold in terms of style. In their 4-5-1, he is a defensive-minded coach, but they love to use the width of the field, as here is a ball that is ripped from great depth and way off target that Alkin will take for a goal kick, as that shot is taken by Eric Doletsky. But the Panthers love to use the width, and they talk about being able to pass with pace. Passing and moving very quickly has been their focal point to build out of the back and keep the defense moving. And certainly will be fascinating to see what kind of officiating will this be called tightly, the physicality of Wallington. And will that play an element, and particularly for Wallington on a cold night, not that much wind, but on a cold night, will they be very effective in the air relative to Fort Lee? Conte under the pressure. And again, the high press steps right into Ihara. So a toss-in coming for the Wallington Panthers. Wallington losing in last year's North 2 Group 1 semifinals. Quarterfinal losses to Mountain Lakes recently. In the quarters, 22 though, they reached the North 1 Group 1 final as a 5 seed, losing a tough game 1-0 to 2-seeded Waldwick. So they've been a program knocking on the door towards winning another state title. The Panthers have a state championship achieved in 2010. Gordon Cheng. Cheng out to Noah Diaz, his left back. And now movement ahead for Emmanuel Nitkin. Nitkin trying to combine. And Fort Lee trying to spread the field through channels. Cheng makes the connection. Then Grant Kang shot. And this is veering well off target anyway. But here is Eddie Tanderis. So Tanderis, 81 saves. This is his first time playing goalie ever. For 2 years, he was a backup defender. And Wallington graduated a 4-year starter. And as they headed into the season, their 2 other goalies were very, very young. So Isaac Archbold into the summer. And the second day of practice, Eddie Tanderis comes up to him and says, you know, I think goalie is a possibility for me. So he played a couple days of practice even without goalie gloves. And he's still having some growing pains, but he is showing some moments of brilliance to understand the position. And, of course, practicing as a defender for a couple of years as a backup, he certainly has taken in some coaching. And he watches film and studies the role. And is athletic as also a varsity baseball player. Chang will keep it moving. Diaz. And Diaz away from pressure. Nitkin, far side, is bottled up by Willem Preinfalk before it is forced back. And on the handle by Kenta Watanabe. As Bridgman started to establish a possession rhythm. So it should be a game that has a lot of skill on display. Ball getting away from Grant Kang. And now some room to space the field here for Wallington with a left back, Patrick Pawash. As they try to play through and make a connection out wide. There with Doletsky. And it'll be a deep throw coming for Fort Lee as we've played into the 5th minute. Just one shot so far, and it's for Wallington. As Ihara tries to get Grant Kang sprung. Pawash, and he'll bang it off of a Fort Lee body. Damian Kristoshak, as he searches over the top for Wyszczarczyk. And now a ball that's actually Wyszczarczyk out wide for Doletsky to the top of the penalty spot. A fanned opportunity by Conte, and then the next shot missed. To the near post, and a dangerous chance created off of a giveaway. Conte did not get a clean clearance, and that shot coming from Eric Doletsky. Doletsky's a senior, 3-year starting co-captain, and someone that wears his heart on his sleeve. He leads this Wallington team with great passion. A goal and an assist recently in a victory at Garfield, as this Panthers club unbeaten in 10, 8-0-2. Here and trying to make the turn. And Fort Lee will have a deep throw coming. So they'll send over Kenta Watanabe to try to create some chaos. And Watanabe will throw and steal a few feet under 10 yards off the corner flag. Tosses in front of Tandaris. Then the volley chance is wide as Grant Kang with the first shot for Fort Lee. There was a touch, and it'll be a first corner. Watanabe will have service. An outswinger. Good spot right inside the 6. Wyszczarczyk had the first chance before it pops up, and Tandaris will grab it. So Eddie Tandaris on the second day of training sends along a text message about playing goalie. And here he is trying to help Wallington have another dream-type season. They've been knocking on the door, back-to-back 13-win seasons, 14 wins in 22, 16 in 21. So it is a well-established program that typically has beaten a lot of big schools. But they're just a Group 1, but there is, of course, a great soccer passion carrying over from the predominantly Polish community in Wallington. The town is only about 1 square mile. Here's Doletsky. As Doletsky brought it down, looked to the backside. Rosas then chopped it down, looking for possession before Fort Lee will get a clearance in the direction. And past Cheng, and now a ball chipped and sent over the top. And some room to run for Emmanuel Nitkin, and that's played away from him. Nitkin joining Fort Lee 3 matches into the year, spent time trialing for a pro organization in Europe. 2-year starter when he's been here, 5 goals, 2 assists, after 5 and 3 last year. As Fort Lee has slowly gotten healthy and gotten all their key personnel on the field at once. Watanabe, as he tosses in, side volley, and it just missed. As it's pulled wide, and Fort Lee with the game's first great scoring chance. Tandaris was hoping that it would skip past, and it did. It would not tuck inside the post. As Fort Lee, I think, making a last-second change with Woo Jin Chun. I didn't catch an early sub. Woo Jin Chun has now come in to play right mid, and Emmanuel Nitkin is up top. Diaz, and Noah Diaz out of a sticky spot. And tight-roped along the sideline before the Bridgemen will get a switch for Conte. Good start here, 10 minutes in. Ball sent over the top, and in the air was the right back Silas Prinefalk. Prinefalk, like his twin brother Willem, 3.5-year starters for a good program. And the two of them, they would run through a wall. And they play both up the line in front of one another, right mid and right back. Watanabe. And a good toss, that time for, I think Lucien Yu was the target before it pops up where Tanderis grabs. Chris Doshak shows his power at 6'3", 220. Gustav Powash was in the air. And the ball settled for Oliver Pietruchak. Ihara, nearly dangerously for Wyszczarczyk to run into the path of, before Kante delivers the ball ahead, and Krzysztofiak will keep that away from Emmanuel Nitkin. Into the 12th minute, shots are 2 apiece. And Fort Lee with the lone corner. Watanabe has shown he's got pretty good distance tonight. And he's nearly able to reach the spot with that toss as Krzysztofiak will send it out. Chang and Doletsky trying to get Wyszczarczyk going. But Kante has to play back through Elias Alkin. And as Wallington brings it down, an inadvertent handball against junior Oliver Pietruchak. With 12-5, Pietruchak has come back a different player. 3rd year in the varsity, now with size and physicality. That's been perhaps, and while Wyszczarczyk has definitely been a breakout player, maybe the most breakout in this Wallington team has been Pietruchak, who had 2-2 last year. Was not a starter. Wyszczarczyk last year was a known entity, 7 goals, 9 assists. Still very quality before his explosion where he could find his way into a 30-goal junior year. And Fort Lee will make a sub here. So Ihara will head off, so we'll see who will move into right back as Watanabe has the throw. As Doletsky tried to chip to his man, Powash looked for a clearance. As Tanderis will carry. Wallington brought back 75% of their team, so Isaac Archbold know they would have a well-rounded group. But goalie was going to be the question. Meanwhile, for the Bridgemen and Demba Mene, they were aiming to play in big games like this, under the lights that have significance. And they've gotten their chance, frankly, for the 2nd time this week. They led 1-0 until the final 2 minutes, 78th minute here Tuesday night against Mahwah in a county tournament game at home. Here is Doletsky getting the angle, and then Doletsky, his shot, I think he was trying to maybe serve it. Didn't get a lot on it. Elias Alkan will come up with his first save. But the Bridgemen getting a home Bergen County tournament playoff game. The 7 hosting the 10. They were 2 minutes away from closing that one out and advancing. And they got a chance to play a meaningful game, especially at home, for the senior-laden group. Now, as I said, for Demba Mene, what kind of response will they come up with, particularly against a very talented team? Ball ahead, and again, Nitkin was hoping for a different angle on the service. Wallington with a victory would essentially end up being, I think, 17 straight years when a full season was played. As here is Kante, as Kante turns the corner on Krzysztofiak. Kante then waits for it, recovers it back, plays it in front. And some help came from the other center back in Alex Gibas. Conte, as he keeps it alive, sent back in before Wallington will have a clearance. Now was Charstick, hoping to link up with his teammate, and he was looking for Willem Prinefalk, but Fort Lee quickly shuts that down. So Fort Lee has a chance for a statement kind of a win that would open up some eyes around the county. In the latest Bergen Record Top 25 county poll, as an example, these two teams matched up in very high spots. Wallington ranked 13th, Fort Lee 11th, as up ahead, offsides. No, check that advantage is going to be given. It's a foul against Fort Lee, so it's going to be a very positive area for a restart for Wallington. So Eric Doletsky immediately over the ball. And Doletsky waiting for one from the sideline. 17th minute of play. Doletsky, his older brother Jakub, class of 24, was also a first-team All-NJIC player in the Meadowlands Division. Fort Lee creeping up to a wall of at least 3. Doletsky strike off the wall. First, Wallington corner. Ball delivered and to the back post as this one side volleyed over. So as it took a dangerous bounce, that was Gustav Pawash, 2-year starter that's been twice second-team All-Division. As the starting holding mid getting a look. Nitkin able to check back. Then Nitkin will make the run. Next delivery, and it's waved off offside. The whistle blown very quickly. A tremendous 1-2 sent. And no goal and no real argument from Fort Lee either. As making that run, that was Landon Kaplan that had just come in. Landon Kaplan playing in his second game of the season tonight. Made his first appearance on Tuesday against Mawa, coming back off of off-season ankle surgery or an ankle injury as Kristoshak loses it. Nitkin will continue. Nitkin shot. That deflects, and then it's tucked in. A loose ball finished off. Nitkin was able to force it to the front, and Fort Lee will celebrate. This one will stand. It's 1-0. Bridgman in the 19th minute. Fort Lee taking the lead here first half, but the turn by Emmanuel Nitkin, that created the trouble for the center back in Damian Kristoshak. And I'll wait to get final clarification on the goal. But if it is Lucien Yu, it would be his team leading 13th. And the second effort by Nitkin Once he got off the end line, that put Wallington in a compromised spot defensively. And for the Panthers, they have played in a lot of high-scoring games this year. They concede their 24th of the season, as right back Wallington will come up with a corner. And a ball driven into a good spot, and that was the holding mid, Oliver Rosas, in pretty good position. I think off the shoulder of Rosas. And Rosas, who is a tough customer at holding mid, 4 years in the varsity, 3-year starter. And while Doletsky might be the emotional leader, Rosas, known for doing a ton of heavy lifting, plays for TSF on the club circuit, as Tanderis will keep it on the ground dangerously. And Wallington looking to regroup. There's Willem Prijnfalk. Wischarczyk. And the foul against Wallington. Alkin to have a goal kick for Fort Lee. They come in having scored now 32 goals. And at the start of the year, Demba Manet, when I asked him what the strength of his team is or should be, he thought it would be defending. Well, the numbers have shown that. Just 8 goals allowed for Fort Lee. They have 4 shutouts. They have not yet allowed multiple goals in a regular season game. The first time they gave up multiple goals was on Tuesday night here against Mahwah. And that took overtime. You running, you on the return. Nitkin again trying to attack the end line. Nitkin able to squeeze his way through. Emmanuel Nitkin shot blocked off a body, but eventually gets through, and Tanderis is forced to come up with a save. Second stop for Eddie Tanderis, as he looks for Alex Wischarczyk long. The breakup by Gordon Cheng. And Grant Kang, as he makes his move, he is tripped up. Or check that, rather, Gordon Cheng is the one tripped up. A ball headed dangerously. And we'll get a Fort Lee foul. So far, this has been a well-played game. It's been clean. Just one restart given up in a bad spot by Fort Lee. And Wallington hasn't fouled in any bad areas. As Patrick Pawash is turned over, then Pawash has to tug the jersey, and I think our first card is going to be given out. Landon Kaplan was able to stay with Patrick Pawash, the left back, and then Pawash trying to slow up transition. He picks up the game's first yellow. So he will have to head off until the next opportunity to sub. Senior Landon Kaplan, last year when healthy, a goal and 7 assists, and was first team Big North American Division. Fort Lee a chance to really create separation on their home field against a good club in Wallington tonight. As Kaplan was trying to steal a few yards. As our referee has stopped the clock. And he is issuing a warning to Oliver Pietruchak about going over there and essentially doing a referee's job while putting the ball to the right spot. So now the other referee will come over and tell Landon Kaplan to place it right on the 30-yard line. Obvious opportunity and spot for service. As Kaplan drives it, it would have been wide of goal anyway, but Tanderis will grab it just in case. Great athleticism shown there by Eddie Tanderis. He made 5 saves against Cliffside Park in the Bergen County Tournament's second-round win. Season high is 12 saves against Whippany Park. And here's a switch to the near sideline. Now Wischarstik getting a shot from distance as it skips in and handled nicely by Alkin in his hands. Elias Alkin last year was the full-time starter, 94 saves. Split the job as a sophomore, 66 saves. And plays his club soccer for the Futures Soccer Academy. A low goal kick, but Alex Wischarstik trying to get the engine going. There's Watanabe to step in and clear. '25th minute, 1-0 Fort Lee, a goal by Lucien Yu in the 19th. Wallington's 2 losses came back-to-back, games 3 and 4, at Waldwick and versus Glenrock. And they made a lot of changes in personnel off of those 2. And the ignition game, as I'll call it, came at Dwight Englewood September the 19th. They needed that game in the league standings because they were already 0-2. And that win, 2-0 at Dwight Englewood, made it 3 straight league wins. Dwight Englewood, a huge school, Group 4, and they played very well over the course of 80 minutes to get the job done, and they have turned out to play at a higher level ever since. Then last time out on Tuesday, Wallington, perhaps in some ways, comes in emotionally spent, similar to for Fort Lee, as Fort Lee is going to come up with another corner, where Wallington in their Bergen County Tournament second-round game had to go into penalties to defeat Cliffside Park. Second corner for the Bridgemen. Tanderis, he is able to punch with one hand. And as Wallington looks for a clearance, and they have a chance to break out with transition. Here's Alex Wischarstik. And Wischarstik able to tow it around the defender. Wischarstik back to the front, across. It's buried! Wischarstik with a wonderful pass, and it's 1-1. Tremendous pass by Wischarstik after he had a full-blown 60-yard sprint. And the tap-in came Thick running the field by Oliver Rosas. For Rosas, his first goal of the year. I'll confirm at the break. But what a run by Alex Wischarczyk. And he was able to get around the hard step and challenge of Gordon Cheng defensively. Goal coming in the 26th minute to even this one up. As Alkin comes up with this. And now Wallington has seemingly woken up. A 1-1 battle. Two teams that had good seeds for the Bergen County tournament. Certainly a tremendous measuring stick game for Fort Lee. And for both sides, an opportunity to sew up very high seeds for their upcoming state section tournament. As there's a wasted chance by Wallington from distance. Their sixth shot. Shots are 6-2. Wallington Panthers, 2 corners apiece. Also, Dominique Vargala has come in, and they'll say actually there was a touch, so here's the third corner for Wallington. Dominique Vargala has come in to play left back for the yellow-carded Patrick Pawash. Fort Lee is on the second ball. Now a good step. And Wallington with a delivery right back to the middle. Then getting the shot off and not a whole lot on it. As the shot came from Gustav Pawash. And the Panthers again quickly. Prine Falk. Wischarczyk. And just as he motored ahead, he was trying to play Silas Prine Falk in. As the game has opened up since the pair of goals. And delivery that was targeted for Woo Jin Chun. As that's canceled off. And here is Rosas. Gustav Pawash. And linking up with Silas Prine Falk. And the attack begins. And look at Wallington use the great width of these turf fields. Rosas leaves one more. Look to the wide side for Pietruchak. Vargala keeps it alive for Rosas. Jumping into the play, then Doletsky with great distance. Got good power on it. And Eric Doletsky with the look. And to bring a pause to the action with Fort Lee making a substitution. As we are inside of 10 minutes in this well-played first half. As Fort Lee will bring on Guilherme da Silva for the first time. Scored a goal late in the Dumont game 2 matches ago. Last Wednesday in a 5-1 Fort Lee win. As Doletsky keeps it alive. Finally laid down beautifully by Vargala. What a touch. Now the ball chipped ahead. Wischarczyk. As that was defended well. Ball intended for you. And Kenta Watanabe, who just made that fine defensive play. And it was Charstick. He's able to beautifully float the pass outside here for Oliver Pietruchak. Pietruchak with Charstick. Look for one more. He had Rosas deep. Now Fort Lee, the transition. Nitkin links up with his midfielder. Now Lucien Yu. Yu attacking the end line. Yu will take the corner for Fort Lee. So end-to-end skill in this match, tied up at 1. If the season were to end today, Wallington is the #1 seed in North 2 Group 1 in that section, while Fort Lee would be looking at a 6th seed in the North 1 Group 3. And two teams primed, trying to come away with a win to enhance their resumes and get multiple tournament home games. This one redirected across. Conte, Christoshak eventually will have the clearance. And now the chance for Wallington to transition forward. Prine Falk. As Prine Falk circles, they try to go all the way across. And Fort Lee will clear. Up ahead for Nitkin, and Nitkin almost played in Lucien Yu perfectly as Wallington found themselves for a half-second outnumbered. As Gibas will move quickly for Gustav Pawash. Vargala, now the left back, has been a starting midfielder in the program. And Wallington's found themselves in a luxury of sorts to have a player that was honorable mention all division last year, but shows up every day to work. Started all summer league in the preseason in the first 4 matches. But Vargala has been able to come in at spots at left back and hold it down. And one of the many players on this Wallington team who plays for the Vistula Soccer Club based in Garfield. Willem Prine Falk, brother Silas, and his cross does not catch any Fort Lee body. And we're into the 35th minute tonight, tied at 1. Ralph Bednarczyk with you. Happy to have you along with all of us here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel and to watch a very good one. Fort Lee in the pink, Wallington in the white. Alkin with another good goal kick. And they'll get Doletsky for a foul. So the officials have absolutely drawn the line and credit the high level of play where there hasn't been a lot of physicality. And it's been skill with pace. And we'll see if it'll hold up that way. We've had just 1 yellow. So Conte delivers. And trying to make the turn was Guilherme da Silva. Now Yerrick Blanco has moved in up top at forward. So Emmanuel Nitkin has gotten a rest. Watanabe. Conte, telegraph pass, Doletsky. Now Prine Falk to push the Panthers ahead. Prine Falk waits for support, then his left-footed shot off of Conte. And it'll be a deep throw coming for Wallington. Wallington historically has had always a lot of goal scoring. You look back over the last 15 years, they're basically pushing 50 goals a year. Now, if we have a whistle and a foul called against Fort Lee, and this isn't a bad spot. Only a couple of yards off the corner 18. Kristoshak, an obvious target. And they go in that vicinity as Kristoshak tried to play it back to the front. And Wallington will maintain possession. Doletsky looks for the switch to the wide side, and no one was making the run. Oliver Petruchak was the closest. Quick goal kick over the top. And Lucien Yu will gather. Yu, as he is smothered, and he'll keep possession. And Lucien Yu continues to battle, and excellent work by the Wallington defender to dispossess him. Fort Lee will keep it moving. Middle of the field, Woo Jin Chun. Wide side, De Silva was looking for Yu, and they weren't off by much. 38th minute, a 1-1 game. Chilly temperatures, low 50s this morning, just as the sun began to rise. Temperatures I saw were 42 degrees. So it is a reminder now we are in the fall and also nearing the end of the regular season in all fall sports. Gibas and long for Vargala. Alex Gibas, a 3-year starting center back that plays for the Ironbound in the MLS Next, the highest level of club now in the United States. As Doletsky. Vargala. And now Wyszczarczyk, the beautiful check back. And here motoring ahead is Rosas, who will take the shot from distance. Oliver Rosas probably had a couple more steps in him, but his engine is known to never stop. To fight for 50-50 balls, hoping to get some great film out to college coaches. 4 years on the varsity. And Rosas, and perhaps would like to get that shot back, if anything, not to shoot it, but continue the possession, where Wallington is so comfortable in possession until they get something great. Vargala, as he was stepped into. As Yu battled, and the ball chipped ahead beautifully by Woo Jin Chun. Lucien Yu then nicely stepped into there by Damian Kristoshak, and that is the end of the first half. Well played half. Shots are 7-3 Wallington. 2 saves in goal for Eddie Tanderas. Make it 2 for Elias Alkin. And 3 corners apiece at halftime. Lucien Yu in the 19th minute. Captain Oliver Rosas of Wallington in the 26th. The answer from Alex Wyszczarczyk. That's where we stand, 1-1 at the break. I'll be back in 10 minutes to bring you the second half on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. Start of the second half from the Dr. Allen W. Sugarman Athletic Complex in Fort Lee, New Jersey. Halftime score, Fort Lee and Wallington, and a clash of good teams that figure to get high seeds for their upcoming sectional tournaments are tied at 1. Tonight's game being brought to you in part by the Fort Lee PBA, Cafaso's Fairway Market, the finest construction company, Fort Lee Soccer Club, Rusin and Doru Electric, Bridgman Basketball Camps, the Fort Lee VFW, Visions Federal Credit Union, It's Greek to Me Restaurant, Connect One Bank, the Bergen Black Sox Organization, Senator Builders, UCS Strength and Speed, the Collective Salon, and the Fort Lee Education Association. Thank you for making this broadcast possible. Ralph Benarchik on hand on a frigid night, 54 degrees. Frigid only because we're not used to it yet, but a quality game on the field. 7-3 Wallington in shots. 2 saves apiece for each goalie. Eddie Tanderas of Wallington, Elias Alcon of Fort Lee. 3 corners apiece. 19th minute goal by Lucien Yu on a rebound on a shot that was created by Emmanuel Nitkin. Gave Fort Lee a lead for about 7 minutes before Oliver Rosas was able to touch in a beautiful pass on a tremendous run by Alex Wischarchik. And that's where we stand. At stake again, big power points for the winner of this game as a ball ahead that Tandaris will handle. Wallington, right now the number 1 seed if the season were to end today in North 2 Group 1. Fort Lee would be the 6th seed in North 1 Group 3. So Fort Lee would have a chance to take some big jumps, and by jumps, that could possibly mean an extra home game or 2 with a win like this. And for Wallington, it could further separate them from Glenridge, who is hot on their tails. Wallington at 10-2-2, Fort Lee at 9-2. Fort Lee looking for their first double-digit winning season since 2021. And previous to that, 2017. Doletsky, as he'll make the connection out wide with Willem Preinfalk. Now that's banged out, and it will be a Wallington corner. Alex Wischarchik will take this service. And no one making a near post run. Yu was looking to spring forward a transition with Landon Kaplan. And finally, Wallington able to fan out Silas Preinfalk. And on this follow-up, Grant Kang. Silas Preinfalk. Rosas. And Doletsky trying to ping a pass ahead. And not enough air on it. Follow-up here by Silas Preinfalk. And Rosas showing good patience. And perhaps that was a message from first-year head coach Isaac Archbold. Let's continue to play our style and not rush anything. And it took Wallington maybe some time to get to play that style. That I think if for Coach Demba Mene, he's thrilled with the way his team responded. From this perspective, they played a very disciplined game. As a ball from Grant Kang nearly delivered through. No yellows or bad fouls, and here is a bad foul in the middle of the field against Wallington. So a collision there as Alex Wischarchik, and he was trying to seal his man and turn off. Wischarchik a little shaken up, but he has been held to just a couple of shots, but his tremendous run created the goal for Wallington. Lucien Yu will bring it down. And this next ball is sent off target. And I think for Demba Mene, he wants that discipline to continue. ball winning in the middle of the field that he thought would be more vital than usual tonight against Wallington. I'd say that's still a pretty close to 50-50 battle, with Kang at center mid, Gordon Chang at holding mid. Wallington has not been able to create out of the middle of the field with Doletsky and Rosas pushing ahead. Preinfalk, as Willem Preinfalk, as he applies the pressure, and it'll be a deep throw coming for the Panthers. Silas Preinfalk, as he looked to the penalty spot. As the officials will claim that the ball went out, so it'll be another deep throw for Wallington into the 45th minute. Preinfalk has a man in front making a run. I think that was Rosas. And Gibas, next ball back in. And Kristoshak, and is able to drill it far. Damian Kristoshak at 6'3", 220, still hasn't turned 16 yet. They get asked all the time if he's actually that age. Gotten big into weightlifting. They weren't even sure if he would play this year. They caught up with him in the summer, and he got himself into soccer shape in September. And Isaac Archibald was able to get him with a full buy-in, and he truly adds a different element that most high school teams don't have, and a presence in the air, especially for the cold weather October and November playoff games, that while you like to think that they get decided by skill, but oftentimes it's the dirty goals that decide them. Doletsky. And the takeaway in the pocket pick, Grant Kang. Took it away from Silas Preinfalk. As to the far side and looking for the switch was Oliver Pietruchak. And Pietruchak had his moments down the left in the first half. And Willem Preinfalk, he was thinking about service, as that's an unforced turnover. As Wischarstik was the target man. And now a chip ahead for Wischarstik. Conte will cut him off. And Conte will try to build through the back. Chang. Along with Yerrick Blanco. Chang looked for a through ball. And Yerrick Blanco will have a Fort Lee toss. 49th minute. This has been a close to the vest start in the second half. Ball delivered for Wischarstik as Kenta Watanabe a step quicker. Lucien Yu. Chang and along here for Noah Diaz. Diaz with the delivery and a floating pass that Tanderas was able to read well. As Doletsky outside, that looks like Patrick Pawash has returned. Starting left back who picked up a yellow. Petruchak. Willem Prinefalk. And Doletsky. And Doletsky shows great confidence in his shot from distance. It was open, and that shot wasn't off by much. Well, Elric Doletsky playing a pretty controlled game. Isaac Archibald telling me how he showed great leadership in their win against Dwight Englewood. Scored a great goal, similar to what he just missed from 20-plus yards out late in the match. But this game has not had any kind of extracurricular. And two teams that appear to be very focused. And focused on playing a quality game. Deep through ball attempted by Gustav Pawash. Doletsky and the left back cousin Patrick Pawash. Patrick and Gustav, both starting players for Wallington. Doletsky away from pressure. And Doletsky makes the brief connection, but the offside flag is up. Good penetrating ball by Eric Doletsky, and that wasn't off by much. Nearly a perfectly timed run that could have gotten Wallington into the area. And now here's Wyszczarczyk. Wyszczarczyk, ball in front, and again Rosas making the run right down the middle. Alcon had to be 1,000% clean. Otherwise, it's another tap-in for Wallington. And now ahead, Grant Kang. Grant Kang threw ball in, and the shot is off target from Landon Kaplan. A good little combination in Landon Kaplan, who can play in multiple spots. As we'll get a sub on for Fort Lee. As it's Emmanuel Nitkin that makes his return. So he has sat and should have a full tank of gas for the finale of this. Gibas and Prinefalk, and quickly out of trouble. Wyszczarczyk. And Fort Lee out of traffic with Grant Kang. Cheng looked the return for Kang. Blanco was moved to play wide left. Conte under the pressure of Wyszczarczyk, and Wyszczarczyk, and the foul is on him. Oh, great pursuit by Alex Wyszczarczyk. And now a whistle as Conte is slowed to get to his feet. And now Alex Wyszczarczyk heading off. I did not see the yellow card flash, but it must have been from a distance. And yeah, a card is issued on Alex Wischarczyk. 21 goals among the top goal scorers in Bergen County, adding his 7th assist on the equalizer in the 26th minute. Comes from a family of athletes. As the ball is delivered, and Kristoshak will let it bounce for Tanderas. Entire family were ice hockey players, both mom and dad. Older brother plays ice hockey too. But Alex has followed soccer. He's played MLS Next with the Cedar Stars organization, where there's Cedar Stars Bergen, and they have different levels of, they have regional teams and an MLS Next team. As that pass is broken up, intended for Pietruchak along the far sideline. Pawash made eye contact with Willem, and a ball is chipped over the top. Willem Prinefolk had a chance to really settle himself into a volley. And if Prinefolk probably keeps the ball low, he might be celebrating. He looked for the chip just as Elias Alkan was coming out to take down the angle. But anything driven low could have caused a lot of havoc, rather than dropping the chip over the goalie and hoping for perfect accuracy. Nitkin the target there. Blanco, I think he was trying to play it to himself. And Gibas on this near side for Silas Prinefolk. Second half certainly has been a possession advantage for Wallington. It has not generated the shots, though, or the expected shots, as Nitkin was stepped into well by Gibas. Chance to transition as the pass by Doletsky almost made a connection. Follow up by Pietruchak, then the blast, and that's buried! That's Wischarczyk actually right back into the match after taking a yellow card, and what a strike that was for one of North Jersey's most prolific scorers. Alex Wischarczyk adds his 22nd to go along with an assist. And in the 55th minute, Wallington takes the lead for the first time. As that ball bounced and came up for him perfectly, he exploded a shot with his left foot. Isaac Archbold was asked recently, his coach, in his first year coaching him, how do you describe him? And he is just special, and it's not just his physical tools. Alex Wischarczyk never misses a practice, is so dedicated. His quickness, defenders just struggle staying with him. He's been doubled and tripled since the early season. But that's the kind of goal that you just don't even see in practice for Elias Alkan. Ball ahead, Wischarczyk had a runner in the front. Second ball efforted, and it'll be pointed as a corner kick for Wallington. And Wischarczyk has had to learn how to adjust to being swarmed. And the combination of Watanabe and Conte of Fort Lee prior to the goal have done well in the settled situation to not allowing him to rove around and get great looks. It's been Doletsky from distance. But Wischarczyk created the goal. It came off of a stopped corner kick by Wallington. And it was a breakout that led to transition. Otherwise, in the run of play that's been settled, Fort Lee has kept him in front. But that time, even with the defender kind of off to his side, Alex Wischarczyk is able to contribute on the scoreboard. 2-1 Wallington as the Panthers have come out and played a very good second half. They've raised their level from the first. And how will Fort Lee respond? And possession hasn't been an overwhelming difference between the two. There's a chip, and Tenderis will go get it. Emmanuel Nitkin had that last touch, a clever little flick, and he may have gotten a piece of it. Let's give a save to Tenderis and the 5th Fort Lee shot. But while Fort Lee has had it, they have not been able to come up with any kind of penetrating runs yet, or really use the wide portion of the field much. Now the Bridgemen for Nitkin. Nitkin will bring it in, and pouncing on the ball is Tenderis. Well, Tenderis had a sense, and reading the body of Emmanuel Nitkin, that he was going to try to chest it down, turn, and as Nitkin did that, Tenderis simply beat him to the spot on the ground where Nitkin was about to turn and shoot. There's Gustav Pawash. Out wide. Wischarczyk. He'll look at Rip. And almost missed a second. Just got a second. Let's see if there was a touch. And they'll wave it off. It'll just be a goal kick. Alkin came out. It may have grazed the upper 90. As Gordon Cheng looks wide, and that ball will skip out and past, I think, Yerrick Blanco. As Doletsky carried. And Fort Lee looks again to ignite something in transition. Lucien Yu leaves a ball to the area. That's Doletsky playing well defensively and tracking into a good spot. Now ball ahead for Wischarczyk. Alex Wischarczyk slows down, then he's knocked off the ball. Again, that's Watanabe. Michael Conte. And here's the Fort Lee senior center back continuing a long run. And Conte is the one that collects a foul. So an important moment for Fort Lee in the 61st minute. That's something Demba Manet has been on for Michael Conte. There are times when the Bridgemen are trailing, he'll put him up top at forward for his aerial presence and physicality in the box, and to even be more aggressive in terms of making runs like that. Woo Jin Chun, sophomores over the ball. Chun with a strike. So we'll remember that moment in terms of Conte seeing an opening and then taking it from his center back spot. And it may take that kind of aggressive push to unlock a quality team. As I think that's Pietruchak. Pietruchak for Rosas. And Rosas tried to step around the Fort Lee player, and a whistle and a foul. That's Noah Diaz that stepped up, and Diaz with a reaction, I think, The referee is warning Noah Diaz here, and a card has been issued to Diaz. And I don't think that had anything to do with the tackle of Diaz as he has to head off. But the starting left back for Fort Lee, his reaction to disagreeing with the call, and it's a very quick yellow. And that puts the ball in prime Eric Doletsky territory. Doletsky just had a screamer of a goal last time out Tuesday against Cliffside Park. Or rather, the Dwight Englewood game. This from 35 yards out. In the 63rd minute for Wallington to add to their 2-1 lead, Doletsky. And a ball again driven well and over the wall, but Alkin was able to see it without much stress over the bar. So each team with a decent restart in the last few moments. But it is Wallington a goal in the 55th minute. Alex Wischarczyk with his team-leading 22nd, one of the state overall leaders in goals, and certainly in Bergen County. As Fort Lee will come up with a corner. Gordon Chang on the corner. And he puts it in a good spot where Tanderis has to grab. Well, that's not didn't have the trajectory of an Olympico goal. But the accuracy of Gordon Chang to put the ball or any bobble of Tanderis, and it's probably ending up in the back of the net. Or rather, Grant Kang on that service. Up ahead, Willem Pridefalk. Pridefalk carrying in, and Pridefalk maybe pulled down by Diaz. Now Diaz already on a yellow. And the Wallington staff cannot believe there wasn't a foul. There was a clean grab there as play continues and sent through the uprights. Well, perhaps a game-changing non-call. Willem Pridefalk was in position, and a yellow has been issued to the coaching staff of Wallington. The boy, upon first glance, Willem Pridefalk appeared to be in the clear before at least a half horse collar by Noah Diaz just disrupted his path. So Fort Lee remains very much alive in this one. As the toss came into Wischarczyk's territory, Yarrick Blanco, and sends out a nice ball here to the wide side for Juni Hara, and then on the attack comes Nitkin. Fort Lee had a series of quality tosses in the first half, particularly the first 15 minutes, just as Wallington was settling in. Kenta Watanabe was able just to be a pest, a fly on a shoulder with all of his tosses. And here's the first one of the half, as that head ball is an easy grab for Tanderis. So that'll be the 7th Fort Lee shot. as Wallington has been able to possess through the middle of the field a lot more. Palash for Wyszczarczyk. Rosas has Doletsky. Next ball wide. Wyszczarczyk looked to bang it to the front where Willem Prinefolk was making the run. And Fort Lee quickly transitions ahead. Kang for Nitkin. Tenderis had it. He's out of goal. And then Tenderis will pounce on it before Nitkin could play it to the front. There was a half-second opening for Emmanuel Nitkin with having Lucien Yu at the penalty spot. But credit Eddie Tenderis, learning on the job. But the moments of athletic brilliance he has helped him in his devotion to watching film and studying the role upon essentially becoming a goalie for the first time on August 19th this year. As we'll get a foul, and this is going to be against Fort Lee. So Wallington to play it quickly. Here's Wyszczarczyk. And they'll send it back to the spot. Well, both teams assumed that it was going to be against the Panthers. And here this is going to place the ball again in a great spot for Doletsky. It appears like it might not be Doletsky taking this one. Instead, Gustav Pawash, and he will just lay it in on Alkin. Or make that actually, that was 6 Alice Gibas. Shots now 12-7 for Wallington. A ball delivered to the wide spot, but Tenderis again doing well off of his line. And you're seeing some of the elements for a junior goalie. How Isaac Archibald has felt if he had some goalie training, his talent could skyrocket. And it'll be fascinating to see where he ends up next year after all the success that Eddie Tenderis is experiencing while on the job. And he's had the luxury of having returning starting defenders in front of him, a team that can dominate possession and play some lopsided games to take the pressure off. And we'll, of course, see Wallington play some nail-biters coming up as they go deeper into the Bergen County tournament. And then as the potential 1 seed in the North 2 Group 1 tournament. Wallington on Saturday will be at Tenafly in a Bergen County tournament quarterfinal. There's Woo Jin Chun as he looked to the top of the box. As Fort Lee will make a sub, Emmanuel Nitkin will head off. As into the game is senior backup forward Desar Elezi for the first time. So he comes in with some size and potential target abilities. Conte with a good step. And drilled back out by Damian Kristosiak. As Elezi chases. And Fort Lee will get a throw. And this could be Kenta Watanabe time. And it is, as Kenta will now make his journey to the sideline. '71st minute, Watanabe. And the big Damian Kristoshak, the only person in the vicinity. Alka makes the connection with Alesi, punched away by Gibas. Rosas for Willem Prijnvalk. Prijnvalk trying to draw the foul, and Prijnvalk will. So that is a clever way to contort your body for a senior in Willem Prijnvalk. He's very comfortable cutting to the inside, has 7 goals, 5 assists. With speed and physicality, and has a very good shot. But he was able to draw the call there. At the college level, that would have been a non-call. Doletsky, as he looks for Wicharczyk. Transition chance from Grant Kang. And Doletsky will find it at his feet. Doletsky plays the ball ahead. Here's a shot. Alkin the save. And it is cleared off the line. One late chance for Wallington as it was steered as it rolled parallel to the goal line. Bodies are down in front. Ilias Alkin making one save. And then one of his defenders slid over. That was Noah Diaz that saved the day for Fort Lee to keep it at 2-1. Diaz, I think, was the last one to touch it. A player is still down for Wallington inside 8 minutes remaining. And what a feed by Doletsky on the initial through ball. And a pause for the Wallington player to be evaluated. It was a great collision. 2 players going hard at the ball. And for Wallington, all it needed was barely a nudge to go over. But Noah Diaz was able to come over and at least nudge it and keep it from fully curving in. So both teams will go to their respective benches. And a stoppage with 7 minutes, 48 seconds left. 2-1 Wallington. A goal by Alex Wicharczyk in the 55th minute is the difference. And as medical attention is given, we remind you and thank our sponsors, those that make this broadcast possible. The Fort Lee PBA, Cafaso's Fairway Market, The Finest Construction, Fort Lee Soccer Club, Rusin and Doru Electric, Bridgman Basketball Camps, the Fort Lee VFW, Visions Federal Credit Union, It's Greek to Me Restaurant, Connect One Bank, Bergen Black Sox, Senator Builders, UCS Strength and Speed, the Collective Salon, and the Fort Lee Education Association. Thanks to all for helping make this broadcast be possible on our Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. The Wallington player is still down, and they are not evaluating his legs. It was something more to the upper body, so it gives you a sense about what kind of collision it was. And it was Willem Prijnvalk that is the one shaken up. Senior starting right mid. And the Twins, known as tremendously disciplined and yes sir, no sir type student athletes that have been seniors, 4-year varsity players in the Wallington program, 3.5-year starters at the same spots. Willem playing at right mid and brother Silas playing right back directly in front of each other for all these years. So as Willem Prijnvalk appeared to walk off the field under his own power, so that may have been some kind of an upper body shot that he took in the collision with who I believe to be Noah Diaz, who was involved in first the collision and the partial clearance. So now Silas Prine-Falk. And the ball sent ahead as Grant Kang looked over the top. Wide for Ihara, who's now moved to the left. Lucien Yu. Yu trying to take the shot, and Yu fading away a bit. He had a defender, and Alex Gibas that was stepping to him. The 8th Fort Lee shot. Shots are 13-8 Wallington. 4 saves for Tanderas and 3 for Alkin. And a long ball over the top, and it's going to be onside. Here comes Wischarstik. The chance! Wischarstik puts the game away! Off the long goal kick by Tanderas. In rhythm and on target to one of the county's top goal scorers. Alex Wischarstik has 2 in the second half. 3-1 Wallington. '74th minute finish. And that could be all she wrote as the Wallington Panthers now in position for a noteworthy road win for their program to try to keep that top seed, the expected top seed for the North 2 Group 1 tournament. Fort Lee led this game 1-0, and the Bridgemen had a very strong start to this one, scoring in the 17th minute. Wischarstik created the first goal. The second was a thing of beauty rip in the second half, 55th minute. And then that one off of the goal kick by Eddie Tanderas. One bounce. And then Wischarstik, even with a very clinical finish there, as Alkin came out and was actually off his line pretty early. But he pushed it past Alkin rather than to the wide part of the goal where you see players miss a lot of times. He simply shot it past Alkin before Alkin can actually get big and get his arms out. A tremendous pair of goals from the junior for Wallington. Alex Wischarstik was born in Poland before moving to the U.S. at the age of 4. His favorite player is known for speed in Belgium's Jeremy Doku. And this year, Wallington playing out of a 4-4-2, he thinks has made the great difference for him being the lone striker up top. For him to generate now 23 goals on the year. Still time left for Fort Lee. And can they get the next one to make this one interesting? And certainly to this point, credit Wallington's defenders with the talent that Fort Lee can put out there in an attacking position. Like Lucien Yu and Emmanuel Nitkin, as we have a stoppage. And we have a substitution. So with the leading team subbing, that's why we get the stoppage. As Wallington will bring in sophomore backup forward Patrick Bednarczyk. No relation, slightly differently spelled. Bednarczyk is a sophomore. He's their Energizer bunny up top at forward. So he will come in to provide some pressure on Fort Lee. Now another run created. Another chance out wide. Wischarstik with the right foot. Alkin the save. And Wischarstik had time to pick out a spot. 15 shots for Wallington. And another stoppage with a Wallington player shaken up. And Wallington will also make a sub as the left back Patrick Palas will head off. And Dominic Vargala is back on in that spot. Rosas will send a high pop up. Finally, Yerrick Blanco, after a series of bouncing balls and pop-ups. Hard challenge. That was Kang who nearly maneuvered his way through. As the ball is sent over the top. And there comes pressure from Wischarstik, who is now bidding for a hat trick. He had a 5-goal game earlier this season that really blew up his stats against Bergen Charter. 4 goals and an assist in a rivalry battle against Garfield. 2 goals on the road at Waldwick, good program. A 3-goal game against Woodridge. Second meeting at Garfield, he went for 2 and 2. And not even Glenrock, who's always such a good program, a Group 1 power in North 1, cannot contain Wischarstik, who had a tally. 77th minute. And Wallington just trying to cleanly manage out the rest of this game. They're trying to remain unbeaten in 11. As Ihara slips it back for Hojin Chun, who's come in now to play a center back, or rather a left back spot, while Ihara has come in to play left mid. As Doletsky, again, will just punt it ahead. Blanco made a good turn and seal. Chips the ball ahead. Tanderis again active off of his line. Tanderis got a little nudge and a card is out against Fort Lee. So as Tanderis made the run, I think the official saw maybe a slight nudge and kind of a body check by the Fort Lee player. So he issues a card. And a stoppage with 1:14 remaining. Well, this should be a spot foul, and indeed, the officials forgot what had happened. But it is Wallington ball. They were the ones that were fouled. So Wischarstik, as he cuts it back inside. '80th minute tonight in Fort Lee. Bridgemen led 1-0. Certainly a midterm type of a week for Fort Lee. As Wyszczarczyk will lay it off, looking for Bednarczyk. Patrick Bednarczyk. Spread for Gibas, and Wallington is going to come into Fort Lee and come up with a deserved victory. Rosas shot, Rosas! A missile from about 35 yards out. That's the capper for Wallington in the 80th minute. A 2-goal game, the first 2 of the season for Captain Oliver Rosas. And Wallington will take this one by a 4-1 final. Well, Rosas did not need to shoot, but saw space in front. And well-deserved for the hard-working holding mid. With the engine light always on. Second-year captain of the Wallington program. A big guy in terms of motivating the entire group. And there's different kinds of leaders, but Rosas is the type of captain that the other kids play for. Final seconds, and what was certainly a midterm type of a week for Fort Lee. They see what the top of North Jersey soccer looks like. They came close, a minute 20 away on Tuesday night in their Bergen County second-round home game against Mahwah. Could not close it out, lose in overtime. Tonight, they led 1-0 against a terrific Wallington team before Wallington's talent showed in the second half. Wallington takes this one with 3 goals in the second. They take it 4-1. Alex Wyszczarczyk with 2 goals and an assist. Oliver Rosas adds a pair. Wallington moves to 11-2-2. They are now unbeaten over their last 11 matches at 9-0-2. Fort Lee taking the loss. The Bridgemen give up multiple goals for the first time in a game this year, and by far the most goals they have allowed in a game as well. Fort Lee now 9-3 on the season. They dropped their second in a row, and they'll be back taking on Dwight Morrow coming up on Tuesday with the weekend off. 4-1 is our final score. Thank you so much for watching this broadcast tonight from all of us here at Fort Lee Athletics and our Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. My name is Ralph Bednarczyk. Once again, thanking all of our sponsors: Fort Lee PBA, Cafaso's Fairway Market, The Finest Construction, Fort Lee Soccer Club, Rusin Indoro Electric, Bridgman Basketball Camp, Fort Lee VFW, Visions Federal Credit Union, It's Greek to Me Restaurant, Connect One Bank, Bergen Black Sox, Senator Builders, UCS Strength and Speed, the Collective Salon, and the Fort Lee Education Association. Thank you for bringing this broadcast to the airwaves on YouTube and giving a chance for these student athletes to be seen. 4-1 is the final. Wallington defeats Fort Lee tonight. We say so long and good night from the Dr. Allen W. Sugarman Athletic Complex.